Have you ever had that moment where your personal and professional lives collide in the most unexpected way? That's exactly what happened to me last month, and trust me, what followed was a roller coaster I never saw coming. It started on a regular Tuesday evening. After putting my daughter Emma to bed, I collapsed onto the couch, mindlessly scrolling through a dating app I'd installed weeks ago but barely used. Being a single dad to a 7-year-old while working full-time as a marketing specialist doesn't exactly leave much room for romance. Emma's mother had left us when she was just 2, deciding parenthood wasn't for her after all. Since then, it's been just the two of us against the world. I was about to close the app when a familiar face appeared on my screen. My thumb froze mid-swipe. Catherine Reynolds, my direct supervisor at Meridian Marketing. The same woman who critiqued my presentations, approved my time off, and conducted my performance reviews was smiling at me from my phone screen. Her profile showed a side of her I'd never seen, hiking in the mountains, playing guitar at what looked like an open mic night, and cuddling with a massive Saint Bernard. At work, Catherine was always professional, somewhat reserved even. She'd been promoted to department head 6 months ago and ran our team with quiet efficiency. I respected her, but there was always this invisible line between us, the boss-employee boundary that neither of us had ever considered crossing. My heart raced as I debated what to do. Swipe left and pretend I never saw her. Swipe right and acknowledge the awkward situation. Before I could decide, my thumb betrayed me, accidentally swiping right. Instant match. My stomach dropped. 5 minutes later, my phone pinged with a message. Well, this is unexpected. Didn't know you were on here, Daniel. I stared at the message for what felt like an eternity before responding. Same here. Small world, I guess. The conversation flowed surprisingly easily. We chatted about things we'd never discussed at work, favorite books, music, weekend hobbies. It felt strange but refreshing to see Catherine as just Catherine, not Ms. Reynolds from marketing. Then came the message that changed everything. This might be crossing a line, but would you like to grab dinner tomorrow night? There's this new Italian place downtown I've been wanting to try. I sat there, phone in hand, completely stunned. My boss had just asked me out. The professional part of my brain immediately started listing all the reasons this was a terrible idea: workplace complications, power dynamics, potential fallout if things went south. But another part of me was intrigued. Catherine was intelligent, accomplished, and yes, attractive. Under different circumstances, I would have said yes without hesitation. But circumstances weren't different. I had Emma to consider. My dating life had been practically non-existent since becoming a single parent, not just because of time constraints, but because I was selective about who I introduced into my daughter's life. Plus, dating my boss. That was asking for complications neither of us needed. After 20 minutes of internal debate, I typed my response: Catherine, I'm flattered, truly. But I don't think it would be a good idea. With our work situation and me being a single dad, there are too many complications. I hope you understand. Her response came quickly: of course. That was unprofessional of me. Let's pretend this never happened. The next day at work was excruciating. Catherine avoided eye contact during our team meeting, and I found myself overthinking every interaction. By lunchtime, the tension was unbearable. I decided to clear the air and knocked on her office door. "Do you have a minute?" I asked, poking my head in. Catherine looked up from her computer, her expression guarded. "Sure, come in." I closed the door behind me and took a seat across from her desk. "About last night." "We don't need to discuss it," she interrupted. "It was inappropriate of me to put you in that position." "That's not why I'm here," I said. I wanted to explain my reasoning better. It wasn't just about the work situation. Something in her expression softened. "I'm listening." I told her about Emma, about how careful I had to be with relationships, about the promise I'd made to always put my daughter's stability first. Dating is complicated enough, I explained. Dating my boss would be like playing relationship Russian roulette. Catherine laughed at that, the tension between us easing slightly. I get it. For what it's worth, I respect your priorities. Not many people would make that choice. As I left her office, I felt relieved but also a strange sense of loss for something that never had a chance to begin. 2 weeks passed, and things at work gradually returned to normal. Catherine and I maintained a professional relationship, though there was a new understanding between us, an unspoken acknowledgement of the boundary we'd both chosen to respect. Then came the company's annual charity fundraiser, a family-friendly event at a local park. I brought Emma, who was excited about the face painting and games. We were standing in line for ice cream when I heard Catherine's voice behind us. "You must be Emma," she said, smiling warmly. "Your dad talks about you all the time." Emma, never shy, immediately launched into a detailed explanation of her face paint design, a butterfly with rainbow wings. Catherine listened with genuine interest, asking questions and complimenting Emma's artistic choices. Watching them interact, I felt a strange twist in my chest. Catherine was different here, relaxed, playful, completely unlike her office persona. When Emma ran off to join a game with other kids, Catherine turned to me. "She's amazing," she said. "You're doing a great job with her." "Thanks," I replied. "It's not always easy, but she's worth every challenge." Catherine hesitated, then said, "Listen, I've been thinking about our situation. What if we tried being friends first? No pressure, no expectations. Just two people getting to know each other outside of work." I considered her suggestion. Friends. It seemed like a reasonable compromise, a way to explore the connection we both felt without jumping into complicated territory. "I'd like that," I finally said. Over the next few months, Catherine became a regular part of our lives, not as my boss or as a romantic interest, but as a friend. She joined us for weekend outings to the zoo, helped Emma with a science project, and even attended her school play. Emma adored her, and I found myself looking forward to the time we spent together. One evening, after Emma had gone to bed, Catherine and I sat on my porch, talking about everything and nothing. The night was warm, stars visible despite the city lights. "I never thanked you," she said suddenly. "For what?" "For saying no that night. If we had rushed into dating, we might have missed out on this." She gestured between us. Getting to know each other properly, building something real. I realized she was right. By taking the pressure off, by focusing on friendship first, we'd created something more meaningful than a hasty romance could have been. About 4 months into our friendship, there was a moment that truly tested our developing relationship. The company announced a restructuring, and rumors of layoffs spread like wildfire. As a department head, Catherine was involved in the difficult decisions about which positions would be eliminated. I knew she was under immense pressure, coming home late every night, her usual warmth dimmed by the weight of these choices. One Friday afternoon, I was called into a meeting with Catherine and the HR director. My heart sank as I walked into the conference room. Catherine wouldn't meet my eyes, and the HR director had that practiced sympathetic expression that could only mean bad news. "Daniel, as you know, the company is going through some changes," the HR director began. "Unfortunately, your position has been identified as redundant in the new structure." The words hit me like a physical blow. Single dad. Mortgage. Emma's school fees. All of it flashed through my mind in an instant. Catherine finally looked at me, her expression unreadable. "We've prepared a severance package," she said, her voice professional but strained. "And of course, I'll personally provide a reference for any position you apply for." I sat through the rest of the meeting in a daze, signing papers and nodding mechanically. When it was over, Catherine asked if she could walk me to my desk to collect my things. Once we were alone in the hallway, she stopped. "I fought for your position," she whispered urgently. "I need you to know that." I was overruled by the executive team. I should have warned you, but I legally couldn't. I believed her, but it didn't change the reality of my situation. I understand, I said, though part of me was wondering if our personal connection had somehow factored into this decision. That night, Catherine came to my house. Emma was at a sleepover, and I was sitting in the dark, scrolling through job listings on my laptop when the doorbell rang. Catherine stood on my porch, holding a folder and looking more vulnerable than I'd ever seen her. "Can I come in? I have something to show you." She spread the contents of the folder on my kitchen table, a business plan, financial projections, and a proposal for a new marketing consultancy. "I've been thinking about leaving corporate for years," she explained. "Starting my own firm. I've saved enough to launch, but I need a partner with your creative skills." I stared at her, trying to process what she was saying. "You want me to be your business partner?" "Yes. Equal partners. No boss, no employee. Just two people who respect each other's talents building something together." She took a deep breath. "I was going to wait to tell you, do this properly, but after today. I couldn't let you think that our friendship meant nothing when it came to your career." That night changed everything. We stayed up until dawn, refining the business plan, dreaming about the clients we could attract, the work we could do on our own terms. It was terrifying and exhilarating all at once. 3 months later, Reynolds and Parker Marketing Consultants opened its doors. Our first year was a struggle, long hours, financial uncertainty, and the constant pressure of building something from scratch. But we were in it together, supporting each other through every challenge. Our friendship deepened through the shared stress and triumphs of entrepreneurship. The real test of our relationship came unexpectedly one rainy Tuesday afternoon. I was in the middle of a client presentation when my phone buzzed repeatedly with calls from Emma's school. Excusing myself, I stepped out to answer, my heart racing. Emma had fallen during recess and broken her arm. She was being taken to the hospital, and they needed me there immediately. I rushed back into the meeting room, apologizing profusely to our potential clients, a major account that could secure our financial stability for the next year. Before I could even explain, Catherine stood up. "Family emergency," she said smoothly to the clients. "Daniel needs to go, but I'll continue the presentation. We can reschedule the full team follow-up for next week if that works for everyone." As I gathered my things, she squeezed my arm and whispered, "Go. Emma needs you. I've got this." I spent the next 6 hours at the hospital with Emma, who was brave through the x-rays and casting but finally broke down in tears when the pain medication wore off. I was texting Catherine updates when she appeared in the doorway of Emma's room, carrying a stuffed unicorn and a backpack. "I brought dinner," she said, pulling containers of homemade soup from the backpack. "And a change of clothes for both of you. The doctor told me Emma might need to stay overnight for observation." Emma's face lit up at the sight of Catherine. "Did you finish the meeting?" Dad was worried about the big clients. Catherine sat on the edge of the hospital bed. "The meeting went fine. But you know what? Even if it hadn't, that would be okay. Some things are more important than work." She stayed with us all night, sleeping uncomfortably in the hospital chair, helping me distract Emma from her pain with stories and games. In the morning, when the doctor cleared Emma to go home, Catherine took the day off to help us get settled. As Emma napped on the couch that afternoon, exhausted from the ordeal, Catherine and I sat at the kitchen table drinking coffee. "You didn't have to do all this," I said. "The client meeting, the hospital, today." She looked at me with such tenderness that it took my breath away. "I know I didn't have to. I wanted to. That's what happens when you care about someone, you show up." It was in that moment, watching her absently stir her coffee, hair messy from the hospital chair, eyes tired but still warm, that I realized I was falling in love with her. Not because she was beautiful or successful, but because of who she was at her core, someone who showed up when it mattered. Another pivotal moment came a few months later when Emma's mother unexpectedly reached out after 5 years of silence. She was back in town and wanted to see Emma. The email arrived on a Sunday morning, and I stared at it for hours, unsure how to respond. When Catherine came over for our regular Sunday dinner, she found me still at the computer, the email open on the screen. "What's wrong?" she asked, immediately sensing my distress. I showed her the email, watching her expression change as she read it. "What are you going to do?" she asked quietly. "I don't know," I admitted. Emma barely remembers her. Part of me wants to protect her from someone who might disappear again. But another part thinks she deserves to know her mother. Catherine sat beside me, her hand finding mine. "What does your gut tell you?" "That this isn't about me or my feelings toward her mother. It's about what's best for Emma." We talked for hours that night, weighing options, considering scenarios. Catherine never once told me what to do, but she asked questions that helped me find clarity. By morning, I had decided to allow a supervised visit, with Emma's therapist's guidance. The day of the meeting, Catherine offered to come with us for support, but I knew this was something I needed to handle alone. "I'll be right here when you get back," she promised. Whatever happens. The reunion was awkward and emotional. Emma was shy at first, then curious, asking her mother questions about where she lived and why she had left. Her mother, to her credit, was honest but gentle in her explanations. By the end of the hour, Emma was showing her school pictures and talking about her friends. When we returned home, Catherine was waiting as promised, her face a question mark. Emma ran to her immediately, climbing into her lap with the easy familiarity of complete trust. "My mom has purple hair now," Emma announced. "And she lives in California with her new husband. She said she wasn't ready to be a mom before, but she's sorry she missed so much." Catherine held Emma close, her eyes meeting mine over our daughter's head. Yes, our daughter, because in all the ways that truly mattered, Catherine had become a parent to Emma too, not replacing her mother but creating her own unique place in Emma's heart. Later, after Emma was asleep, Catherine and I sat on the porch swing, my arm around her shoulders. "Thank you," I said simply. "For what?" "For being here. For loving Emma. For understanding that our family is complicated and messy and still wanting to be part of it." 6 months after that fateful dating app match, Catherine and I did eventually go on our first official date. By then, it wasn't about a boss and an employee testing dangerous waters, it was about two people who had taken the time to build a foundation of respect and understanding. We decided to be transparent at work, disclosing our relationship to HR and making arrangements to ensure our professional interactions remained appropriate. It wasn't always easy navigating the dual nature of our relationship, but we made it work because what we had built was worth the effort. The greatest validation came from Emma. One night, as I tucked her in, she asked, "Dad, is Catherine your girlfriend now?" When I confirmed that yes, Catherine was indeed my girlfriend, Emma smiled and said, "Good. She makes you laugh more." Sometimes the right decision isn't the obvious one. Sometimes saying no is actually saying yes to a better path forward. By turning down that initial date, I hadn't closed a door, I'd opened one that led to a stronger, more authentic connection. So if you ever find yourself facing a similar crossroads, remember that the timing and circumstances have to be right. The best relationships aren't rushed, they're cultivated with care, respect, and sometimes, a willingness to take the longer road. If this story resonated with you, don't forget to like and subscribe for more real-life adventures and lessons learned the hard way. Life rarely follows a script, but sometimes, the unplanned moments lead to the most beautiful destinations.